Hello and welcome to Wingin It. And once again, we're back here with another tournament game. This one is from the Zadie Zebrafinch Zoo, and we are still here in this semi-final. So, if you've not seen the previous parts of this semi-final, I'd recommend you go check those out. We played 2 games, and we have won 1 and lost 1, which means we come here into this deciding game 3. So, very exciting stuff. And we're going to be going first in this one, courtesy of our points scored in games 1 and 2. So hopefully we're going to get off to a good start here in this game. Let's jump in and take a look at starting hand. And okay, it's a pretty good looking one here. Definitely liking the look of the Peaceful Dove and definitely liking the look of Omnivore Expert as well. Very, very nice bonus card to begin with there. But yeah, lots of good options in this hand. Like I say, Peaceful Dove, I think that's a really good opening bird here in the Oceanic expansion. Great way of getting eggs in the forest. And yeah, when I see a bird feeder like that, full of seeds, that is exactly what I'm looking for. So yeah, we're definitely thinking here of a bit of a greedy start, a bit of a greedy opening, knowing that I can get a good forest going here, get a bit of food going as well. Certainly, like I say, thinking of this dove and something like the sapsucker, obviously not gaining the seeds that I need, but it's gaining food. And so that means that I'm still going to be able to gain enough food to be able to play some of these additional birds, even if I'm going to be gaining seeds and then discarding those for eggs. So, yeah, slightly strange maybe to be leaving the hummingbird as the only omnivore bird there, but yeah, giving away food. And I think particularly if I'm looking for more seeds, I might end up giving away nectar to my opponent, which it could be quite costly. But certainly these other birds I really like the look of. Night heron, big point bird, I think that's exactly what you want. And I'm going to need something in this wetlands, so even if it's not exactly the kind of power I'm looking for, I think I probably want the eggs more than the food. It's still a nice big point bird, still we'll be able to get that down. And start getting some more cards, which I think is always key in these games of Wingspan. And last of all, we've got the Magpie Lark, so that's definitely one for later in this game. So maybe it might be something I play this round, maybe with this end of round goal in mind, but yeah, I think certainly that this kind of yellow game end power, very easy to play. Just that one food, get 5 points, and be able to play another bird at the end of the game. So, like I say, a little bit greedy, a little bit forward planning, but I think anytime you've got a strong forest opening like this, you can afford to be a bit more greedy, keep the good birds at the start, and just rely on being able to get the food necessary to get everything down. So, yeah, I think, as I say, should be quite straightforward here as we come onto our first turn. And yeah, we are just going to go ahead, get this Peaceful Dove down. So a little bit of a decision here. Do I use the seed? Do I use the nectar? In the end, I've used the seed. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference here. I'm just sort of trying to prepare and just trying to think to myself, okay, what's the worst case scenario here for my opponent if they, play a flicker or something, or play something that resets the bird feeder, or even just take some of the food there. I wanted to still be able to get enough food to be able to, first of all, get the seed, but also get the food to play my sapsucker. And yeah, slightly scuppered a little bit by the fact that my opponent goes and plays that pink powder's tree sparrow straight away. So yeah, not quite what you want to see when you are going for a forest opening like this, because I'm going to be taking lots of food and potentially triggering that pink power and giving away food to them. So yeah, one to pay attention to, one to be a little bit careful of. But yeah, I mean, I am going to be trying to take a lot of seeds myself, so maybe that will be a good way of counteracting it. But yeah, sapsucker's going to go down as well, and I'm definitely feeling happy. I'm definitely enjoying this start for me. Like I say, being able to get this extra food. It's going to be some worms, which is not ideal, but it's fine, I think, in this opening. The Magpie Lark is going to eat a worm, the Night Heron's going to eat a worm, so there's going to be some use for it, and it's potentially going to let me gain extra seeds, which could turn into eggs, of course. So yeah, we're going to go ahead, take food here, and help ourselves to potentially some eggs here. Now, of course, you can choose how many you want to discard. Do you want to discard all of them? Do you want to discard some and maybe, save the seeds and pick up the eggs later? But I figured here, let's just use them up. And a pretty good turn, because we took the seeds, none left there for my opponent. So especially with them having just played that Mute Swan, I really don't want to be giving them the free food to be able to play even more birds. They're going to be in a good position building out that wetlands with a good bird opening like the Mute Swan. So yeah, we got to watch out for that as they go ahead and start drawing more cards. But we're going to go ahead and start taking some more food. And yeah, it's all about here just getting the food to start getting these birds down because, like I say, we've got some good stuff to begin with, but we're going to need to find more birds. So playing this Night Heron, starting to draw some cards, that's going to be key. And this Magpie Luck as well, as I touched on, might be something that we look at for this end of round. I'm sort of, monitoring the situation. My opponent's not played anything there yet. That might change here. They are going to go ahead and get some food. So yeah, lots of nectar there. They could be playing a lot of different birds, but I'm going to keep my options open. I'm going to play the Night Heron. I don't necessarily need to get drawn into this end of round goal. If it's something that I think could be worthwhile, and of course getting some more eggs, it's never a bad thing to be able to play some more birds later in the game. I'll kind of wait and see and maybe try and react a little bit to what my opponent does. So they do play a bird in the grass, the Swainson's Hawk. And yeah, that's the cue for me to immediately go and react. So we get Magpie Luck down. And yeah, I'm imagining my opponent's going to lay eggs, but they've only got 2 turns left, so they can't, lay eggs and then still get more eggs down in that grasslands. At best, they can get 2. They're going to tie with us. And yeah, indeed, they do go and lay eggs. So pretty quick, pretty easy decision there for me. And yeah, we're all out of cards and we're all out of food. And we've got our eggs down, so all we've got to do now is hopefully try and find some good stuff from the deck, and that is going to be the job of the next round. But yeah, opponent there, you see there, drawing cards. They're resetting this tray with some of this extra food, so that is definitely not a bad idea here. I think certainly early in the game, if you do find yourself with a bit more food and the tray's not very good, just being able to see those extra cards so valuable at the start of the game. So yeah, not a bad idea at all. And that might be something, as I say, that we have to resort to going into that next round. But for sure, I'm just going to focus on trying to draw cards, trying to see what I can find. And yeah, if it's good stuff, we'll play it. If not, we'll discard and get more food. So we do tie on that end of round, as I said. And we come into round 2. And there's a Pleated Woodpecker in the tray for my opponent, which, yeah, definitely not the bird I wanted to see. It's a double-edged sword. It's kind of good for me as well, because I know I'm going to get some extra eggs coming through. I have at least got the cavity nesting bird down in that sapsucker, but yeah, it's still not what you want to see, such a strong bird in the Oceanic expansion. And some other nice birds alongside it. So the woodcock, really big point bird, exactly what you want in this situation. I mean, even that grosbeak might be something I could still look at if it is still there. It's still a good power to be able to get some more seeds, maybe to feed the dove. And talking of more seeds, we've also got a red crossbill there. So no surprises, my opponent does go and pick up the 2 standout birds there. But yeah, these I think are not terrible options for me here. Grosbeak, getting more seeds from the bird feed, potentially helping to block even that pink power as well. If I can set it up correctly on the re-roll, so just be careful with the food I'm taking. But yeah, the crossbill as well, of course, as I say. Get even more seeds, so that could definitely be helpful. And yeah, we do indeed go for that. And we're even actually going to start using this Night Heron. And part of that is just to help get the food, to maybe think about getting these birds down before I then take food next time. And maybe help with a little bit of tempo there. So yeah, not too interested in the stuff that is coming up in its place. The cormorant could be maybe one I look at. Do already have a couple of platform nests down. I mean, even that grey teal, it's not a bad power when you're trying to dig through the deck. So yeah, certainly with my opponent going and taking food, they might be ones I look at, but we're going to go first of all off the deck. And yeah, then we are going to go ahead and grab the cormorant. So like I say, maybe just planning ahead a little bit, thinking about those later game birds that I might want to play, these yellow powers, to try and get some eggs at that stage of the game. So something to think about. But for now, we're going to focus on trying to get this forest going a bit more. So opponent's doing the same. Pleated Woodpecker goes down. We've got our 2 nectar, thanks to the Night Heron, which means we can play this crossbill. So yeah, slightly, unusual, I would say here, that I did use the Night Heron a couple of times, but it helped get me some nectar. That might help for the nectar scoring in the forest at the end of the game. But it's helped get this crossbill down before I then next game food. So that's going to help get more eggs on the dove with those extra seeds. Maybe help as well with getting this grosbeak down. So we are going so food heavy here in this forest. We're going to be potentially gaining 6 or 7 food in a single turn. Hopefully we'll turn a bunch of those into eggs with the dove. But we're going to have plenty left over. So yeah, birds like this cormorant, definitely going to be looking to play that. But it is still going to depend on what we can find from the deck as well. So yeah, not really got the great brown power card drawing options like the Mute Swan on the other side. But who knows, might still be able to get something good there. So we are going to take food. We are going to throw the spare card that we were never especially interested in here. And yeah, we are as well going to get most of the food that we're looking for this grosbeak. So bit of a decision here. Do we, use the seed? Do we skip it? I could actually afford to skip here because I do have those 2 eggs already. I can save the seed now, spend it on the grosbeak, and then have another really good turn next time I take food. Hopefully get even more seeds and run with that. So yeah, my opponent is starting to build up their forest a bit more. I don't worry so much now about giving away the food. You'll see, obviously this crossbill is giving away free seeds. I'm still triggering this pink power, but when they've got a good forest themselves and, taking food is such a strong term for them, getting 2 or 3 food, getting those eggs as well, it's maybe not something I have to worry too much about. But it is still going to be something on my mind because giving away free food is dangerous, and especially with someone who I know they've got some big point birds in their hand, and I know they've got the start of a good wetlands that maybe they can build out and get even more card access going. So yeah, we'll kind of wait and see what they're going to do. They're going to play Cassis Finch in the forest, so they're really going for potentially this end of round goal as well. So we're going to counter with the grosbeak. It's going to be a bit of a fight here. I know, as I said, they still got that woodcock. That may well go down in the forest as well. But all we can do is try and get our engine set up. So this is not a case of really chasing the end of round goal or going out of my way just for the sake of it. This is about setting up my engine and sort of at the same time being able to get the points, hopefully, from this end of round goal. So see opponent, they're going for food, maybe no surprises, having started to build out their forest, and we are likely going to do the same. So yeah, we are going to benefit from some of these free eggs, definitely helpful for us as well. But yeah, we're going to grow and grab food, so hopefully get as much seeds as we can. Of course, grosbeak, they're very helpful. Crossbill as well, very, very nice. And so yeah, we can go ahead and get 3 eggs there on the Peaceful Dove, which is very, very welcome indeed. So yeah, as well as the food I'm gaining, I'm getting the eggs. They obviously scoring points potentially at the end of the game, but really good for the tempo here, helping to get these birds down. Maybe once this cormorant goes down, maybe we can start looking at discarding eggs and trying to get some more cards going too, because that is definitely going to be key in this game. So yeah, no surprises. Woodcock does go down. They're going to tie the end of round. I think that's pretty straightforward. And yeah, we do come away with 4 points each there. So having played the cormorant, we come here into round number 3. And yeah, definitely not the tray I was hoping for. I was kind of looking for something more than that, some nice big point birds. Cassowaries may be an option, but it does hit omnivore, which is kind of a plus. I've already got most of the birds in my forest are ones I want to keep around, so definitely thinking about that. Brant as well, of course, still hits omnivore, so we are going to look at both of these, and maybe the Brant is something I can use to try and get some more cards. If there's a particularly nice tray that comes up, is a handy way of being able to pick all of them up at once. And yeah, just sort of deciding a little bit, is Brant the right option? Do I go off the top of the deck? We do indeed. I've still got that option. Can discard the egg. As I said, if I turn the egg into a card, I can turn the card into a food, which hopefully then, with the dove at least, can turn back into an egg. So it's a little bit cyclical, but lets you see more cards. And certainly something like this, Woodpecker, not a bad option. Not a bad option at all to get down in this forest. Hopefully get a nice bonus card. Whenever you're taking that kind of gamble, that's what you're hoping for. And maybe a bit more egg space with the cavity nesting birds as well. So we'll kind of see. But honestly, at the moment, it's all looking pretty good. 51 points. It's definitely healthy. Still not got any points on Omnivore, which is a bit of a surprise. But yeah, over to my opponent's hand. They play Common Swift, which is such a good bird for them in this position. It's kind of the bird I was looking for, really. I was hoping for, one of these teal powers. Starling would have been perfect. Collared Dove would have been nice as well, but I'd have taken a Swift there. Be able to turn all this extra food into points, because I'm certainly going to be having a lot of food in this game. So not fully content with what I got, we go and draw cards again. We do get a nice bonus card bird again in the Prairie Chicken. We get a double play option in the Sister Coda too. So, yeah, we're starting to get some good birds. We're starting to get sort of what we're looking for. But it is still, you know, that element of gambling from the deck and trying to find what you want almost late in the game can be quite difficult. It's always better, I think, to be in that position to have the good birds in your hand and sort of come into the end game ready to play them, and have that clear plan and sort of clear strategy in place to be able to do that. So, yeah, we'll try and get as many of them down as we can. We've got this end of round goal to contend with a little bit. You know, food and personal supply is such a tricky one to work with, I think, especially against another forest engine and against someone who's got a teal power. So they're in so much control there. They can very easily, you know, dictate the rhythm of this end of round goal. You know, if it's close and if they're maybe winning, they can hold back some of the food and not fully discard. So, you know, there's a lot of things I've got to worry about here and pay attention to, and just make sure that, you know, I'm not fully giving them too many points here, if I can at all avoid it. So we are, of course, going to take food. There's a little bit of rejigging to do just to, you know, try and block the free seeds that I am giving away. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be the be-all and end-all of this game, 1 or 2 free seeds, but I think if you can block them, I think it is worth going for that. So that is something we're able to do, and we're able to get 3 more eggs on this Peaceful Dove. So it's definitely nice. It's definitely welcome. It's definitely good to be getting points there when we are also, yeah, going and grabbing a bunch of food to hopefully play these birds later. But yeah, we're gonna hopefully play some birds because we have got a lot of food, and definitely trying to get some bonus cards is going to be key. So Peregrine Falcon goes down. That is the last of their cards, and it is a pretty nice one. To get next to the Mute Swan, hopefully with them getting their hunting power down, they'll be getting some hunts. They'll be hoping so at least, and of course more tucks through the Mute Swan is what they're after. But we're going to play Woodpecker. We're after a nice bonus card. What is it going to be? It's going to be Oologist or Wildlife Gardener. So yeah, Oologist maybe not what you want to see in Oceania. Always happy to see that, I think, on the baseboards. But yeah, we do go for Wildlife Gardener here. Knowing I've got the Sister Cola, that's going to be a pretty easy play. That's going to get me up to the lower bound, and then maybe even, you know, one more turn drawing cards if we get something good that has another Cup Nest. We could look at playing that, and maybe the Bunting, just to finish that off. But yeah, not exactly the kind of bonus card I was hoping for. I was hoping for maybe something that had a bit of a higher ceiling, and I was already closer to at least being able to achieve. But at least it's something workable, and that really is all you can ask for, I think, in this situation. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and game food again. Loads of nets are coming up, maybe not quite at the right time that we wanted it to. So close to the round end, so we've got a little bit of a decision to make here. Of course, we could just take it all as seeds. With the dove in play, plenty of eggs are available there. But we're still going to have a bit of a decision to make on, you know, how many of these seeds do we turn into eggs now versus holding them back, and maybe trying to win this end of round goal with the food and personal supply. You know, my opponent's already got a bunch in their personal supply. They could easily go and take food a couple of times. With the Swift, they're still going to get all of their eggs there as well. So, or all of their tuck cards, I should say. We're the ones getting the eggs here with our Peaceful Dove. We do indeed do that. So, yeah, bunch of food in our supply, but it's tricky. This is, yeah, very, very tense part of the game. Trying to negotiate this end of round goal, because it is a 6-point swing. And I hate in these positions getting sidetracked and sort of, you know, almost being suboptimal with the decision just to chase an end of round goal. But when it so easily swings from winning to losing, and ultimately this food, you know, it should be useful to me in the end if I'm going to be able to play some big point birds. So yeah, my opponent is taking food, and yes, definitely putting me in a tricky position. Of course, they're going second, so whatever I do, they can react. They can decide to take food or not. Most likely, I think they'd be taking food, and then just, again, as I said before, choosing on the Swift how many worms to get rid of, because they could get rid of all 4 here and lose the end of round goal, but you're going to keep those worms if they win you the end of round goal. So yeah, maybe making their decision a little bit easy here, but we do really, really want to win this end of round goal. So we do go ahead and take food. Like I say, trying to sort of put myself in a position where it doesn't matter what they do, they can't catch up. I don't know necessarily if that's possible here. Of course, might depend a little bit on, on their free food coming through, if they have a card that they can discard to take. So yeah, there's a lot to think about, a lot of uncertainty. We do skip the crossbill. I think at this point I'm good on seeds, I'm good on food. Don't need to be helping them out any more than I already am. And yeah, they do go ahead and get their free food. So that's what they wanted to see. And they will certainly be working out on their end. Can I challenge this end of round goal? Is it worth for them skipping all these worms because they might not have, all the birds in the world to be playing with all that spare food that they'd be keeping? So we'll see how they approach it. But yeah, we are left with plenty of food. So it's sort of a blessing and a curse. It's good to be in this position where you're prepared and you're ready for if that big point bird comes up, or even some of the ones I've got in my hand to be able to play those. But it is a bit of a curse because I've had to spend these extra turns gaining food when ideally I wouldn't have had to be doing that. I'd have been playing these big point birds. I might have been still digging from the deck and seeing what came of that. But yeah, just with this end around, and like I say, with my opponent with a pretty good forest of their own, getting the eggs as well, definitely gave me something else to think about here. And it's given them something to think about as well, because, like I say, not an easy decision, not an easy calculation. Depends a lot on what they've got as well. So I think in their position, if you could take food, if you could, again, swing that end of round goal from losing to winning, it is worth doing so. But it's going to come at a cost, and it's not always worth that cost in the end. So we will see what they do, but we are definitely setting ourselves up with some kind of plan for that final round. So of course we've got the Sister Cola, we've got this bonus card bird as well that we're going to play in the grass, and so that feels quite straightforward. To do that, we might have to do some egg laying. That might be where some of this extra food comes in, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to draw cards once, and might have to be gambling off the deck because, again, don't have great card access. Only seeing 2, maybe 3 cards if I do decide to discard the egg. And so if something good is in the tray, maybe my opponent's going to take it. Maybe I'll be able to go and grab it. Maybe they'll reveal something good for me. But I might have to be gambling off the deck. Yeah, that can definitely pay dividends in the end game. But there are definitely situations where it doesn't work out so well. So we'll be praying, we'll be hoping as it comes into that final round. But first of all, we've got to see what our opponent's going to do with this end of round goal. And all right, we come here into this end of round goal, and you'll see we do win quite handsomely. My opponent did not take food, or at least they didn't hold back enough food to be able to win the end of round goal. So I think they might have drawn cards and just used the worms that they had left over for tucking on the Swift. But yeah, we come here into this final round, and as I said, we were definitely hoping for a nice tray. Not quite the tray we were hoping for. Killdeer would have been very nice earlier, but yeah, far too late for you. So yeah, we might have to be gambling off the deck a little bit, but we have still, as I say, got some of these options in our hand. Got this double play, got the bonus card bird. Still really looking for that nice omnivore bird. So yeah, kept that at the start with so much promise and so much hope. And yeah, just not really found exactly what I'm after. So we do, of course, still have this cassowary that we might, look at using at some point in this round. Got to make some decisions on what we get rid of. Can't really afford to get rid of anything with a cup nest because that is going to scupper me on the other bonus card. But yeah, we might need to look at playing that. Of course, the other options are going to be cavity nests, which we do need for this end of round potentially. So yeah, difficult options, difficult decisions coming our way. But like I say, it's going to be, first of all, deciding between, do we play this bonus card bird or do we start digging from the deck? Because we're definitely going to need something else to work with here. But my opponent going for food, I think that's pretty straightforward. They've got a great way to use up some of this extra food through the common Swift. So maybe no surprises. We are going to gamble we're going to bite the bullet. We're going to draw cards. And it's not looking too good at the moment, drawing a 1 point and a 2 point bird. Was hoping I wouldn't have to be in this position where I have to discard an egg and draw another card. And unfortunately, it's another 2 pointer. So yeah, Purple Martin pops up. And yeah, definitely was hoping for better there. But we do use the Night Heron here to gain a nectar. And the reason for that is I'm hoping I don't have to gain food again in this game. So I've already got a million food. I've already got more than I could ever possibly dream of using. And I currently don't have any nectar spent in the grasslands, so it might cost me a point to get that nectar, but if that nectar spent, even if I'm just qualifying and just getting, you know, those 2 points, then that's worth it. And potentially, you know, there might be a world in which I can use a bunch of this extra food in just discarding and getting some extra eggs down. So, yeah, we got some decisions to make, got some plans to work out. It might involve this Purple Martin. So, of course, it does help this end of round goal. So, got that to think about. You know, maybe check how my opponent's doing. At the moment, only 3 cavity nesting birds. So, if we can do this double play, that might catch them out a little bit. Getting up to 4. And then maybe being able to win, or at the very least, we could tie when they maybe weren't quite so expecting it. And yeah, we can then, you know, maybe have some good luck with the Martin and the tuck and draw and finding something else. We do still have this bonus card, but at this point I think probably that'll be the Magpie Lark play. It's very easy to forget with something like a Magpie Lark when you play it so early in the game that you do still, you know, get that free play at the end of the game now. And also you have got to make sure, in the case of the Magpie Lark, that you've got the eggs up in the forest to be able to use that. So that'll be my grassland play. We've still got this cassowary to think about. That might still be an option, but like I said, with the end of round goal, with the other bonus card, the Wildlife Gardener, there's so many different things to think about. So yeah, plan A is definitely, as I say, thinking about playing the Martin even as late as this and just going for the Hail Mary and seeing what we find, because yeah, I'm not feeling super confident at this point in the game. I'm sort of definitely expecting my opponents found some good stuff. You know, they drew quite a lot earlier. They very confidently went and took food, and I think if they were in that desperate position like I was, you'd be digging from the deck. You know, they still get 3 points a turn if that Vulcan is going to hit, so it's definitely less risky to go and dig, knowing that you're still getting points, unlike in my position where I actually lost 2 points because I had to spend an egg on another card and then spend an egg on the nectar. So yeah, not ideal, and definitely not something I can really be affording to do again, but we'll see. We'll have to see what my opponent does, and then we'll have to see what we can do to react to that. And alright, here we go, on to our next turn. And unfortunately, it is a very nice big play for my opponent there. Great Egret into Common Merganser, which is maybe not quite so good, but does help this end around, so that's certainly going to be a consideration for them. And yeah, use up a lot of that food that they had laying around from the previous round. But as I said, we are going to play here this Purple Martin. So yeah, only 72 points at this point of the game. Definitely not feeling too good. And just looking over at all the big point birds on my opponent's side, that Common Swift, you know, a couple of worms in the feeder as well. They could easily have another turn. Taking food, getting the worms for that, and getting a bunch of tucks there. And yeah, we are just going to have to gamble. We're going to have to be laying eggs here. So we are getting 5 points a turn there, which I've got to say is actually not too bad. Would have been nice to maybe get that set up a bit earlier and not with just 3 turns left. But yeah, that is maybe going to give us, like I say, 1 or 2 more chances to try and pull something out the bag here. Yeah, take the risk, take the gamble, find something for Omnivore, please. I'm looking for a Whooping Crane, I'm looking for a Woodstalk, something, you know, nice and big points like that. I'm not looking for these 1 or 2 point birds that unfortunately the deck did decide to give to me. Even something like that Common Merganser, I would have taken that with the Omnivore and with the end of round goal as well. But yeah, there we go. Opponents, as I said, maybe not too surprisingly, did go take food. They picked themselves up some worms and I think a couple more nectar, which might help them somewhere down the line as well. But yeah, we are going to lay eggs and we are going to get rid of some of this food. We almost have too much of it at this point, thanks to that previous end of round goal. But yeah, we can get a bunch of eggs down. We got this Martin. We're going to do a tuck and a draw, and it's going to be another 1 point bird. So yeah, House Wren. Maybe, if I'd got that the turn sooner and I could have done a triple play in the grasslands, maybe I would have enjoyed that a bit more. But yeah, I think at this point, it's not going to work out too well in terms of being able to get it down, because if I play it, I'm filling up my grasslands and I can't use the Magpie Luck. So yeah, not great. But we do still have, as I say, that one final chance to take that one final Hail Mary and see what comes up. And still have a spare turn to play it. And that is going to be key. And yeah, I think at this point, I was definitely moving away from the cassowary. I think if it had not cost me on either the end of round goal or on the bonus card, I think it would have been a pretty good play. But yeah, just here in this position, where there's just so much to contend with on both of those fronts, it would have been too costly, unfortunately, I think, to be able to go and play that. So yeah, just the 2 turns left here. Definitely trying to work out what my opponent's got planned. They do still have that 1 card left, so I'm really hoping it's not something good, but sort of in the back of my mind, I'm sort of resigned to the fact that it probably is. But we'll see. I mean, they have got a lot of food. As I said, most of those worms, I think, are going to go on the Swift, but maybe one final play is up their sleeve. And alright, we come here onto our turn, and it is not a play, it is laying eggs. Which I've got to say, definitely did catch me by a little bit surprise. But maybe it was to do with this end of round goal, of course, getting more eggs down for them. But yeah, we've got to lay eggs as well. There's no two ways about it, unfortunately. So yeah, we are going to throw the cards here. In this case, maybe the food is going to come in for 2 tiebreaker. You never know. We are going to tuck the cassowary. And it is, yeah, the final last chance saloon, potentially, although we're going to change our mind here. What are we going to play? What are we going to keep? Keeping my options open, perhaps. Maybe with this bunting as the wildlife gardener play. Potentially, if I found another cup nest here, could be a good option. But we're going to get rid of it anyway. We're going to find the burrowing owl, which would have been another cup nest option. But yeah, while it's more points than the 1 or 2 birds we were looking at, it's still not really quite what I'm looking for here. So yeah, I think it may well just be one more turn of laying eggs. Of course, it is still 5 points, but yeah, I was definitely hoping for a nice big point bird that I could have played with all this extra food for more than 5 points, because I think at this point, having this much food in your supply does look a bit silly. But there we go. There's the big play I was expecting. Great Horned Owl goes down. So yeah, I mean, I would say I would have liked that, but I wouldn't have been able to play it. So, you know, maybe it wouldn't have been quite so good for me. But yeah, one last turn here. Laying eggs again. Plenty of food, plenty of cards to get rid of. I think the food tiebreaker point is kind of moot here, because they have played all of their birds. You know, they've used all their food, or they're going to use, of course, some of it on the Common Swift. So final turn laying eggs. One last chance to get something good. It's another 1 point bird. So Savvy's Warbler again. Where were you earlier? Definitely could have used you for the card draw. But yeah, not meant to be in that case. So we do come away with a tie on the end of round goal. So we come out slightly ahead overall there. And yeah, we come here into the yellow power. So this is where we are doing slightly better, I've got to say, with these yellow powers. Do have a couple of them. So being able to use this Peaceful Dove and go ahead and play in our grasslands. We got a decision to make. Do we play the Wren? Do we not? You know, Wren, it's going to cost 2 eggs. We decide not to play it. We get a rather disappointing Rodentologist bonus card. So yeah, how often do you see that? Omnivore and Rodentologist for a combined 2 points at the end of the game. Definitely, yeah, what could have been kind of what comes to mind there. But we do at least have this Cormorant, 4 eggs. I think that's not too bad. Again, maybe could have been better. Works in theory well with Rodentologist, but yeah, only 4 eggs in the end there. And we come here into the next, as I said, maybe struggled a little bit on some of this. Did win the forest. Was quite far behind in the other 2 habitats. So we're going to lose a few points there, and we're going to see what impact that has on these final scores. So yeah, I was not feeling especially confident coming into this. I know my opponent had a lot of big point birds, and they do odd a bit of a lead there. So our bonus cards, not great, but theirs weren't either, only 2. So it's surprisingly close. End of rounds bring it back a little bit. Eggs, we do, courtesy of that yellow power, pull into the lead. I think, unfortunately, though, just with that full tuck engine that they did get going, and of course the swift tucks and the nectar at the end, it is a heartbreaking defeat here. 107 to 102. So really, really close game. Gotta say, I feel like it was one of those games that could really have gone either way. Just needed maybe a slightly better bonus card at the end. Maybe some more omnivore birds if they could have showed up. Or even just that one final bird to play. I think having to do that double play into the grasslands in the Martin and then lay eggs a few times at the end was not great. But yeah, gotta say my opponent, they didn't have great bonus card luck either. So in that sense, we kind of had a bit of a shared dismay in that sense. But yeah, definitely a difficult pill to swallow in this game. Felt like it started so well with the dove, with the sapsucker. You know, the forest came together really, really well. And then it all sort of unraveled a bit in that round 3, I think. I just drew food way too many times and didn't gamble enough from the deck, because any time you sort of come into that final round and having to gamble off the deck, yeah, you know you're in danger of not finding good stuff. And that is indeed what happened there for me at the end. So, as I say, a little bit of a heartbreaking one. I feel like I did what I could, but maybe you always look back in hindsight and think, where could I have maybe squeezed, you know, those 5 points that could potentially have got me through. So that is unfortunately the end of our journey. It would have been so nice to get through to the final here, but I can still be happy. And yeah, look back on this tournament as a success, I think, getting through to semi-final. Definitely pleased with that. And congratulations actually to my opponent here, because they did, of course, make it through to the final and they did win it. So yeah, losing to the winner, I don't think there's any shame in that there. So all that's left for me to say now is thank you very much for following along in this tournament. Do appreciate the support and yeah, watching all of these videos along the way. This is far from the end though. We've got plenty more tournaments to come, plenty more games coming your way as well. So if you want to see more of those, do me a favor, please hit that subscribe button. Please make sure your notifications are on. You'll get notified when the next tournament game comes out, and I hope to see you again in that one very, very soon.